Hey guys, and welcome back to another amazing episode. Today I'm going to talk to you about events, why you should go to events, and what does it mean for you. And also what happens at an event, what it means to get into the room, what should you be doing next, and all of that, so stay tuned. All right, so let's talk about events. As you guys all know, it's been about a year when I went to my first huge event, which was Social Media Marketing World, and oh my goodness, I was so overwhelmed. It was an amazing event, but it was my first, and I definitely felt it. I was super overwhelmed with all the knowledge and education I was learning. I was by myself. My family was even in an hour away still, and I was staying semi-close, but not really that close to the venue. So I learned a lot of things of what I would not be doing and what I would be doing for my next events. And now that a few events have passed, I actually just recently got back to San Diego from Podfest in Orlando and Hustle and Flow from LA, which it was a back-to-back event. Pretty much I think it was a whole week for both these events, with all the traveling involved with it. And essentially something I learned from both of these events is something that I wanted to share with you guys, but also show this is what I'll be doing from now on for events, and this is why. So essentially, why should you go to events? Well, it's because you're getting in the room. And what does that really mean, right? Getting in the room is actually giving yourself the opportunity to sit at the table, to actually go and network and give yourself opportunities and meet people who can move mountains for you. And that's exactly what I found at Podfest and at Hustle and Flow. Now, when it comes to getting in the room, a lot of times that means shutting down fears of imposter syndrome and really setting us up to take a chance and invest in ourselves, in our education, but also our personal branding. So when it was at Podfest, I was actually able to be a speaker on the Military Creator Con special, whoop whoop, which was amazing because it was so nice to be involved and pretty much be connected to and build out my network in the military community, where I got to meet Austin Alexander, for instance.
Yeah, he's actually right here. Hey guys, what's going on? My name's AUS to the E to the N, Alexander.
And he is amazing and fantastic, and you'll probably see a video dedicated to Military Creator Con and Podfest. So I don't want to go into too much because the video is going to be hilarious. But what was really cool is that if I didn't believe in myself and I let those fear gremlins really get too loud, I guess, I would have never been able to do that opportunity where I can meet people and expand my network to give me that education and advice and opportunities for me to grow personally, right? Same thing with Hustle and Flow. I went to Hustle and Flow and stepping out of my comfort zone because it's mostly for photographers and people in the wedding industry, and I'm a virtual assistant. What am I even doing there? But it was so inspiring to sit where my ideal clients are, which I do have clients who are photographers. They're amazing. They do such great work, and they're great clients. But I really wanted to understand their pain points more. I want to understand how I could help them, what their goals were, how do they think, how do they plan their business. So I did that by actually stepping onto their home front and into their zone of genius by going to Hustle and Flow. And during both of these events, I really, really learned that getting in the room and getting yourself there is the first step, right? You did it because so many other people actually don't. They just sit behind a computer and they wait. And they're like, people will come to me, clients will come to me. I don't need to get in the room. I don't need to build a network. It's fine. And I realized then that getting in the room is the first step because it means that you actually care and you're willing to put in the work, and you also believe in yourself enough to show up, right? And that's huge. But then I fell into the whole okay, so what do I do next? That was huge at Social Media Marketing World. It was really, really hard for me to connect with other people. It was very overwhelming. I was going I was there early at like 7, 8 a.m. and I was leaving like in the afternoons about 3 or 4 p.m. and I was exhausted and I had to process these things, and how was I supposed to network and communicate with all these people when I was trying to process, and it was this whole mess. So going to other events, I kind of learned like, you know, okay, if I'm going to an event, I need to have my hotel room at that hotel because it works well for me. So if I need to take breaks, I can go upstairs, go into my room, decompress for like 30 minutes, come back down and network or talk or whatever. Eat, you know, I didn't have to worry about logistics. So I've learned a little bit in between there. But at Podfest, what I really learned, and it's not something like, it was because they did it. It's because they threw us into it because of the experience they provided for their audience. And that was, okay, it's okay to decompress, but sometimes you need to decompress with other people. And there's a different type of decompressing than being alone and absorbing everything, but a lot of times by having fun and going to events. So at Podfest, they held tons of different mini events all throughout the time, and not just them, as well as the sponsors. So specifically Buzzsprout. Hey, I have my podcast on Buzzsprout, and so I had gotten an email about a week or two before the event. They're like, hey, we're going to be holding this really fun bowling event. We want everyone to come out. It's going to be free. All you have to do is RSVP, grab your tickets, blah, blah, blah. They provided transportation. They got us all excited. They rounded us all up. And they had this event, and what was so great about it is that it allowed us to decompress. It allowed us to still connect with one of each other, to soundboard off each other, as well as really build that community up, which was so great and is needed because a lot of times you can find yourself isolated. And that's not something you want to happen at an event. That does no one any justice. It doesn't do justice to you as a person. It doesn't do justice to your business, nor to the other community and attendee people. So as well as that Buzzsprout event, Podfest held mixers and networking events, and they promoted, you know, people coming up with their own events. And that was such an amazing experience because I felt more in control and less overwhelmed. And that goes into like, what do you do next? Like, you get in the room, what do you do next? Well, you network. And a lot of times it's really hard to network with people when you are learning and getting all this education and getting all this knowledge in your head. And having those opportunities and the experience Podfest was able to create really helped us communicate better, build a network together, as well as decompress in more of a social manner, which I loved. Now, Hustle and Flow was a little bit different. So their schedule was like 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., like all day. I want to say maybe 60% of the attendees were actually at the hotel. Other people were like surrounded everywhere. So no one, and even the people who were at the hotel, I don't even think I saw anyone actually go up to their hotel, right? So we were all there. Nobody was really leaving. We were all there, but they didn't have any like mixers or events or anything like that. But what they did differently, and something that I really enjoyed with them was, okay, I got in the room, now what? Was that they really promoted conversations and a safe space and putting the ball in different areas of courts for people to really network and connect together. And by that, I mean they had all of the new attendees who've never been there before really up front, right, on tables and things like that. And they had a lot of the alumni in the back, and they really, you know, made an announcement, but really put the ball in their court saying, hey, you guys understand what it's like to be new here, for this to be your first time at this workshop. We are putting the ball in your court to provide support, to network, to put the newbies first and put yourself out there to connect. Not just to connect with all the other alumni, but connect with the newbies and give advice. And they did the same thing with the speakers as well. And what was really cool is that the speakers were bringing up people, they were answering more questions. It was a way more interactive event. So I felt like it was such a great space where people could connect right then and there and be each other's soundboards and really network all in that same room during these presentations, which was pretty amazing. Of course, there was breaks, right? And we all had a lunch, and there was one restaurant at the hotel. I was so exhausted and tired. You know, it was the first day of this event. I got there at like 6 a.m. I drove 3 hours that morning after getting home from like a 6-hour flight from, you know, a 3-4 day event in Florida. So I am like exhausted. And I went to the restaurant and, you know, I'm like, table for one. This is not my like audience. Like, I don't know anyone really here. I'm not a photographer or in the wedding industry because that's what the event was for. So it was kind of like isolated, and that's kind of how I felt. So I go and get my table for one, and what was really cool and how the expectations were set up, right? How the community was set up was there were people, attendees behind me. They're like, oh, are you doing a table for one? Why don't you join us? Like, they had no idea who I was. They had no idea what I did. And they're like, come join us, come conversate with us. And it was really cool because once we got to the table and we were eating and talking and networking, it was very surprising that they weren't all just photographers. And we were able to bounce our education off of each other. And they're like, well, how do you apply this to your business? You're not in the wedding industry and blah, blah, blah. And it was really cool because I made strong connections, and the education that I was learning and processing, I was able to process 10 times more by networking with these people and talking about it and conversating. And instead of decompressing by isolating myself, I was able to really dive in, like, why would this work for my business? How am I going to implement this? And the same thing for them. And so what happens when you do get in the room, it's all about building connections, not isolating yourself, and really networking. And you never know, these could be your ideal clients, these could be your accountability partners, these could be collaboration, these could be people who would move mountains for you to help you build and scale even further in your business or even in your personal development. And that's why I find events like this so important to reinvest in. Because they can do so much, not only for you and your personal development, but also for opportunities and networking and learning more about your ideal clients or your industry. And a lot of times it's not just about getting in the room, it's what you do with getting in the room as well. So I think having those two big notions come into play, like, I'm going to get in the room this year, I'm going to put myself out there, I'm going to show up. Like, yes, applause, right? Like, congratulations, you took that first step. But now you also have to process, what are you going to do by doing that? How, you did the first step, you got in the room. How are you going to do what you need to next? What does that look like for you? And so I'm super excited for going to these two different events and how they are structured and how they promoted those next steps into their events. So yeah, I really just wanted to share that with you guys. These events were huge for me. I'm super excited for the rest of 2020 because I have a lot of collaborations in the work. I got some new clients from it, and I met some incredible people who I have a feeling we're going to be good friends for a very long time. They're going to be in my life personally and in my business for a very long time. And I don't think I could ask for more from these events. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you go to events or if you've never been to an event, let me know down below. Let me know what your thoughts are, your favorite kind of events, why you haven't gone to an event before. Is it the price? Are you scared? Is it your mindset? What's going on? I'd love to chat with you guys down in the comments below. And if you like this kind of content, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and click that notification bell because there's going to be some amazing content videos coming right out to you guys soon. Until next time, bye.